At Holly Academy, our mission is to achieve individual academic success for all students through a positive family, school, and community partnership. And we try to really walk the talk with that. We love to have parent involvement, and we really feel like with that partnership between parents and students, we can be the most successful educational experience for your children. This Thursday, we happen to have parent-teacher conferences, which we, of course, are doing virtually. And everything is about the relationship between parent, student, and teacher and administration. And we try to keep you involved every step of the way. And the more involved you are, the more successful your students will be. So this is really important to us. We believe that we live our mission every day. We really strive to meet your child wherever they are, where academically, emotionally. We just really try to hone in on what your child needs. And if you don't think we're doing the job that we need to be doing, we want to hear from you. We are really interested in knowing that parents are satisfied with the education that we're giving your children. So it's very, very important.
So I will talk a little bit about our vision at Holly Academy. As you can see on the screen, it's to provide the highest quality academic curriculum and learning environment, produce the next generation of educated adults. So Julie just touched on the fact that we really focus on educating the whole child, the social piece, the emotional piece, the physical, and the academic, all equally important to us. Setting high expectations for our students in all of those same areas. So it is just as important, and in many cases, almost more important, for students to be socially well adjusted and to have good social emotional health in tandem with their academic performance and their physical needs. So those high expectations really transcend all areas of what we do at the Academy. Julie talked about partnering with our parents and the community. We work really hard, and we are very, very fortunate at Holly Academy to have had the ability to fully maximize our available resources, and whether that's the human resources or the financial resources of our building, we have maintained our viability as a school, and that has been for over 20 years. And finally, one of the academic components are to be ranking in the top 10% nationally. We work really hard towards that goal. Our students work really hard. And we do perform extremely well on all state assessments, whether that is the PSAT or the M-STEP assessment in 3rd through 8th grade, depending upon which assessment and how we fall nationally normed on NWEA. Our students do very well, so I'm sure you will enjoy it here.
Hi everyone, my name is Michelle Bunyak, and I am the lead teacher in Young Fives here at Holly Academy. My own children also went to Holly Academy. They are older now, but they definitely got their start here in our kindergarten program. In Young Fives, we have a team of teachers that work with our little Huskies. So Angie Kreiderman and Andre Linden both work with me very closely. They're with us either part of the day, sometimes both of them are with us to keep student to adult ratio very small.
Hi everyone, my name is Jennifer Malero. I'm one of the kindergarten teachers on our team. I am so fortunate that I am able to work with all of these ladies. I think you'll probably hear a theme amongst all of us. I too had 2 children that went through kindergarten through 8th grade, and now one's in high school and one's graduated from college. I know I never look like that I'm that old, that I'd have kids that old, but definitely. Holly Academy is a wonderful place because you might see that the lovely lady that's holding the A in the light blue shirt, she happens to be my paraprofessional, and her name is Kristen Shore. However, at any time I know that I can ask one of these other ladies for advice, for help, and we have such a great team spirit that we are very lucky. So I don't consider that Mrs. Shore is just my parapro. I believe that everyone, we all work together, but I'll let the other ladies introduce the other wonderful women as well. I've been here since the beginning, and I've been in kindergarten this whole time. Miss Kildy always likes to get in that I'm the most veteran kindergarten teacher at Holly Academy, which is a nice way of saying the oldest, but that's okay as well. Mrs. Shore, a parapro who works in my classroom full time. She also, a little known fact, she used to run the daycare for the PGA Tour. So while the golfers were out golfing, she'd take care of the children. From that, she moved, and she used to was the director of the Rainbow Daycare. And so now she's come to us. She as well has 2 children that are currently at Holly Academy. So what's so great about it is that we understand you. We're not just teachers, but we understand the parent side of things too, which I think is a great and a unique experience that you don't always get. So we totally understand. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Mrs. Idoni.
Hi everyone, I'm Marty Idoni. I have been here since the beginning also. And although I didn't start in kindergarten, I just kept getting demoted. Started in 4th grade all the way back down to kindergarten. And here I've been ever since. We are a very close-knit team in kindergarten. And I would like to say that I helped get Mrs. Shore teamed up with Mrs. Malero. Mrs. Shore had a daughter in my kindergarten classroom years ago. And when there was an opening, I just knew they'd be the perfect fit. And vice versa, Mrs. Malero 10 years ago knew the perfect fit for me was Mrs. Crum. So Mrs. Crum has been my paraprofessional for 10 years. She had her son in Mrs. Malero's kindergarten classroom, and that's where she got her start at Holly Academy too. So not only did all 3 of my children go through Holly Academy, but in 4 years, my precious grandbaby will be in Young Fives too. So I definitely believe in the school, and it's so fun to see where we started and where we are now. So I will let Mrs. Foss introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Katie Foss. I am not the age-wise the youngest member of our team, but I've only been here 18 and a half years, not since the very beginning. As Mrs. Idoni and Mrs. Malero said, they had children here. I had my 3 children go through here as well. My oldest graduated from college. My middle is in college studying to be a teacher. I told her not to, but they never listen to their mothers. And then my youngest is graduating from high school. I am very happy to work with Mrs. Voigt, who in the picture, she is standing right behind Mrs. Idoni, who's holding the letter B. Mrs. Voigt has been here the entire time, and she originally was Mrs. Malero's parapro, and then she came to me about 6 years ago. And so we make a great team, and I love this school. That's why I'm still here, and I was really happy to bring all my kids here. In fact, Mrs. Idoni was my son's 1st grade teacher and my youngest kindergarten teacher. So, you trust the people you work with, and you bring your children here, and you're really pleased and happy with the results. So I will move on to the next slide, which is Mrs. Bunyak.
So we wanted to take a few minutes just to explain what Young Fives looks like at Holly Academy. So we do focus on academics in Young Fives with literacy and numeracy. So every day we are practicing our letters and our sounds and our numbers and what those numbers represent. We do, starting right in Young Fives, part of Holly Academy is we take children where they are. So if your child's ready to do a little bit more, then we'll work a little bit on a little bit more with them. However, a big part of Young Fives that Mrs. Pottinger kind of hit on also is getting children ready to go throughout all of their academic career. So we also spend a lot of time in Young Fives working on their social and emotional skills. So we look at what does it look like when you don't get along with somebody else? What are the words that we use for that situation? And we try and give them the tools, not just for school, but for life, starting all the way back in Young Fives. We do a lot of that through dramatic play. So we do play a lot. but all play is also learning. So everything is very structured, organized. There's a reason behind everything that we do in Young Fives. A lot of our instruction is through music and movement. We try to get the kids up, moving around just as much as possible throughout the day. If I notice that they're starting to get a little bit antsy, that's part of Young Fives. We know that, and that's okay. So we move some more. We don't worry about our volume in Young Fives unless it is time to sit for a couple minutes, calm down, and practice getting ready for kindergarten. And they do a great job at that. We do have daily specials, and we have a very small team of teachers for Young Fives. So Mr. Linden, who is in the room with me throughout the day, he also is their Spanish and music teacher. And Mrs. Thick teaches the other specials to them. So she teaches them, has them for Spanish every day, and then she rotates between physical education, and they also have computers with her as well. So we have a lot of support in Young Fives. We're a very small knit group. The kids know they can come to any of their Young Five team of teachers, and they feel very safe with all of us. The kindergarten team also comes in throughout the day just to say hi, so that the Young Fives get to know who they'll be spending time with next year. When we're not in the middle of a pandemic, we do like to go on some field trips. So we usually visit an apple orchard, go to Legoland. We try and do a couple other field trips as well. Those vary from year to year. I did want to put visiting the apple orchard and Legoland on the slide, though, because that seems to be their favorite. So we try and get to those every year. And that's the basics behind Young Fives.
Now it's my turn for our kindergarten points of pride, which quite honestly, like Mrs. Bunyak, we could have filled up the whole screen, but what we did is we picked just a few things. First and foremost, I want to tell you that the day that you see now with our kindergartners at 106 days of school is very much different than when we started in the beginning and as we transition through the year. So as we go about our academics and things like that, what we're doing is they're absorbing it and they're learning through different modes of learning, such as, songs like Mrs. Bunyak said, and gross motor and fine motor. And definitely they're not just sitting at their seats for 8 hours of a day. Quite honestly, we're moving a lot, and we do try to really incorporate as much play, like Mrs. Bunyak said as well, because truthfully, that's where a lot of the problem solving comes, a lot of the imagination and things like that. So that's very important to us. We are very blessed that we have a paraprofessional support in each of the classrooms. So while it might be that Mrs. Short is working with a larger group of students, while I'm able to work with a smaller group to reinforce some things, or it might be a vice versa, those type of things. The other thing that's really great is Holly Academy allows our kindergarten team and each kindergarten class to differentiate between the students, but we also get to differentiate between the classes. So the great thing is, because the ladies are so welcoming, and it's not just my class, it's all of our classes. If there's something that Mrs. Foster, Mrs. Idoni has taught really well, and their children have gotten a hold of that and they understand it, I might go to them and say, could you help me, give me some pointers? So we have a really great open dialogue as far as between the members of our team. And within that, we look at all kinds of points of data, and that data changes throughout the year, but not one assessment is a decision maker. We look at the whole picture, the whole child, which is a really great thing to do as well. One of the things that my children and all of our children are really used to hearing is that at Holly Academy, we're really focusing on growing leaders. We really want all the children to, in their own way, to find out what skill that they have to be a leader. The other thing that we're really focusing on is being a global citizen. And even when you're 5 and 6 years old, within all of our classes, we are able to have them understand what that means by being a global citizen. the other thing too is we do the small group instruction where we're able to really hone in on skills and reinforce things. We do have our academic rigor as far as part of it is just the state standards. And when I was in kindergarten, it was a half day, and my kindergarten teacher played the piano, and we had graham crackers and milk every day. As much as I would love to do that, it's just the way of the world and what we've done as far as for kindergarten. And so we just make sure that we present those things where the children are able to understand how we're going about it. Like in Young Fives, we have physical education, music, computers, and Spanish. We have it 2 days, one, like for instance, for my class, we have music and Spanish 2 days on Monday and Tuesday, and then the other days, Wednesday and Thursday, the other specials, and then on Friday, it's a rotating schedule. But we are also very fortunate that we have science devoted every single day, and that's one of the most the children really love it. Today, Mrs. Mackey brought in our magnifying glasses, and the kids were amazed at looking at each other's hair. It's the little things in life that we love, the discovery. You know about this time when you have to start spelling backwards because the kids are catching on with their phonics and their spelling patterns. And so some parents are like, great, thanks for making them so smart, because not only can they read, but they can spell too. So like Mrs. Bunyak said, in a non-pandemic year, we typically visit an apple orchard, and our culminating activity at the end of the year is going to the Detroit Zoo, because part of our global citizenship is looking at endangered species and things like that, and the kids really love it. The other point of pride for our kindergarten is that every year, except for last year was the first time in 20 some years, that we do self-portrait t-shirts. And so as you can imagine, I've had 19 shirts, and that's a lot to wear. So I have a tapestry hanging, thank you. A quilt hanging, a quilt hanging in my room. And the kids coming back, they love to see their faces. And so that's another great thing about Holly Academy is from young fives through 8th grade, they're still our kids. So they still see us, and quite honestly beyond, but we still see them in the halls. They still want to give hugs, and they still visit you when it's their birthday and things like that. So it's the relationship building is key and one of the foremost things, not just with your child, but also with you. So it's something that we take a priority in getting to know you and you getting to know us as well. And so that's something that I think is wonderful about Holly Academy. So with that, I'll put it over to Mrs. Foss.
All right, I'm going to touch a little bit on what makes us unique. Mrs. Malero talked a little bit about this when she was talking about the specials that our kindergartners have. But I first want to point out Spanish to you. Spanish instruction for all students, young 5th through 8th grade. That's on an every other day basis, especially in the elementary levels. And it's taught by a teacher. It's not Rosetta Stone. It is not Babbel. It is not an online program. It is a teacher that comes and spends class time with your children every other day. Monday and Wednesday happens to be my day, and every other Friday. And the students really learn the vocabulary, they learn culture, they play a lot of games, and so the kids really enjoy learning the language. And then we kind of pull that into our classroom. So we might one day, instead in math, we might count to 10 in Spanish. And kind of pull that kind of thing in. So it's really nice to work with those teachers. Music is another really big thing. We have an excellent music program here, and in a non-pandemic year, our students would be going to music class, and they would be actually already, as young 5s and kindergarten students, getting involved with the instruments, not just singing simple songs. Yes, they do that to learn rhythm and pattern and rhymes, but they'd also be using rhythmic tools or instruments. They'd be learning to play the ukulele and the xylophone and the keyboards, and we would be having music concerts. As the kids get older, they have the option to join choir and band and the Academy Arts Ensemble, which is almost more, I like to relate it, my son was in it when he was here, jazz band kind of thing, improv and different things like that. So kids excel and they love music, and then we even bring that into our classroom. We would play the songs that they were going to hear at a concert. We would play those in our classroom and sing along. Now, of course, this year it looks a little bit different, but I do have to say Mr. Linden does a fantastic job, as does Mr. Dufresne, of making music work in a pandemic, year, I mean, our kids are learning all kinds of neat rhythm songs and movements just by listening and watching. And so that's been really cool to see. Final point here on this slide is our science. And for a while, I actually taught science to, well, not young fives, but kindergarten through 2nd grade. And I would go to science conferences, and the teachers that I would be in with would be classroom teachers that had to try to squeeze science in between social studies and math and reading and spelling. And they were actually kind of envious. They're like, you just get to teach science, or your students get to have just science for 30 to 40 minutes every single day. And so that's one thing that makes us really, really unique. Science isn't a semester, a marking period. It's not squeezed in between ELA and math when I have 10 minutes. It's an actual certified science teacher that comes to the room, and like Mrs. Malero was saying, Mrs. Mackey had the large hand lenses out today, and they were looking at hair and the fibers of their jeans. And when I came back in the classroom, they were dissecting people's, looking at their sweater fibers. They have a lot of fun, and they learn a lot of science. And so it's definitely something that makes us special and unique, because we're not trying to sweep it in. The students are getting that direct instruction from very knowledgeable science teachers. So those are just three things that make us unique here at Holly Academy, and that my children definitely enjoyed when they were here, and my students enjoy when ever those specials teachers come in and out. So I am now going to pass it to Mrs. Idoni.
Ladies, you did such a good job. I might have another child and bring him to kindergarten. Good job. So I'm talking about character. Character defines us. And I'm not the first that have brought it up today, because it's such an important part of Holly Academy, but we are growing leaders at Holly Academy. And how do we do it is by being examples and instructing them and how you are to behave, and with our character pillars. So we are growing leaders. We have monthly themes. We study citizenship, responsibility, respectfulness, caring, trustworthiness, fairness. We have daily reminders on our announcements, Husky highlights, like ways to behave or treat others. Everybody in their own classroom talks about it a little different, but we're all on the same page. Young 5s through 8th grade. So in my classroom, our theme is superheroes. So each morning we talk about how we're superheroes in training, and how can we behave that day, or maybe I'll bring up things that I saw the day before. We also wrote our own classroom constitution back in September that we say every morning as part of our morning meeting. And the fun part is I'll remind them on a daily, who wrote this constitution? It wasn't me, it wasn't Mrs. Crom, it was them. They got in groups at their table and came up with one idea that they wanted for their own classroom. So in our classroom, we share with others. We're kind to everyone. We take care of our kindergarten things. And those are things that we remind each other daily. And so we'll talk about, what does it look to take care of our things? And that's when we're maybe talking about responsibility. They're putting their crayons back in their box, or they're taking care of their pencils, or they're putting their cap back on their glue stick. What does it look to be respectful when you're at the school store and you get a chance to buy things with your Husky Pride tokens? Are you saying please and thank you? Are you waiting in line? Are you taking turns? We talk about all those different things that we can do. We also have caring is our pillar, and it's in December, and that's when we do a school-wide project. Mrs. Malero always finds some great homes that just need a blessing at Christmas time. And so as a school, we get together and we provide Christmas for 3 or 4 families a year. Mrs. Malero, does that seem right?
Sometimes it's more.
Depending on the year, sometimes we always do wonderful. And so our kids get to see, like, as the presents are coming in and all the conversation going on, and Mrs. Malero always shares what it was like and how blessed they felt when they received it. So those are things that we're doing daily, and each grade builds upon those character traits so that by the time they are, older, that they are the leaders, whether they're the quiet leaders or whether they're student leaders or peer leaders, or just leaders by example. So that's one of the things that makes us really special, and it's one of the things that we directly instruct. I'm going to turn it over to Mrs. Crawford. We'll talk about some important dates that are coming up.
So if you'd like to enroll in Holly Academy, you can enrollments now, and it goes until March 12th. If we do need to have a lottery, the lottery will be on March 19th, and they will post results to that lottery on the 25th of March. We also are working on a kindergarten roundup, and that is going to be April 26th. As the time gets closer, we'll contact parents who are interested, who are already enrolled, with that information. And if you would like to get a tour, I would love to show you around this wonderful school. Just get a hold of me or call the school. There's a line where you can leave a message for me, and I can give you a call back. And there's also a Google form to fill out, and you can kind of see the link at the bottom of the slide here. So if there's anything that I could ever do for you, please feel free to reach out to me and make sure that you get your enrollment papers in.
I noticed it also came across chat. Is that something that we can click on the chat button? Mrs. Bunyak put it in there?
I believe you have to copy it and put it into your.
Okay. So if you click chat at the bottom, you can at least copy it, and then you'll be able to paste it in your browser after the meeting, or you can write it down, or you can contact us at school and we can give it to you.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is open it up for questions that we can help answer. Just remember, no question's a bad question, so please ask away.
I have a question. Your young fives, are those usually half days or are they full days?
They're full days.
And then they're 5 days a week?
Yes, but we also have a rest time during the day, so they get to bring a blanket and a pillow, stuffed animal, and they just relax for a few minutes. And if they happen to fall asleep, I do let them sleep longer. And as it gets more and more into the year, we try and wean them out of that so that they're ready for a full day of kindergarten.
Okay.
I have a question.
Absolutely, go ahead.
What exactly is the lottery and how does that work?
You want me to talk about that, Jen?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So we have, our young fives are separate than our kindergarten, but we have 3 kindergarten teachers, and we like to keep our ratio at 25 or less in a kindergarten class. A couple of years we have gone over, but if we had 100 kindergartners enroll by March 12th and we only had 75 spots, that's when we pull. And then if you were 1 through 75, you for sure have a place at Holly Academy. But if you're number 76 up to that 100, then you get put on a wait list. But we have not, fortunately or unfortunately, we have not had a need for a lottery in about 3 years. So we have every kindergarten student who wanted to enroll in Holly Academy has been able to. But that's what the lottery is. And I've been here a very long time, as I said at the beginning, and there's never been a year, even when we had the lottery, that if a student wanted in, that they didn't get in. But sometimes parents get antsy toward like July and August, and they're worried they won't get their child in, so they enroll somewhere else. And then when we call and say, oh, we got Haley in, the parent will say, well, we're really sorry, but we decided to go elsewhere. So that's how the lottery works. We currently have 2 of our kindergarten classes full for next year. So are you enrolled already or just thinking about it?
We are enrolled, but we're actually young fives.
You're young fives. You're
Yeah.
good. You're good for right now.
Right.
Because young fives, we would theoretically take 25. We haven't had 25 in young fives, however, and there's still a lot of room. So you're good to go. You're all set.
Okay,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Is there a process to figure out if she'd be better suited for young 5 versus kindergarten? She's like ridiculously smart with certain things, but as far as, yeah, she's only 4 at the moment. She'll turn 5 right before the school year starts.
Okay. So in August. When is her 5th birthday?
On the 6th. 7th, sorry.
She even knows her birthday.
August.
You got it.
August.
Yay.
I'm gonna defer to the teachers. What are we gonna do here about?
Okay, I'll speak on that. Mrs. Edering will speak on that. So typically that's what the kindergarten roundup is used for. And so we would just go through a little bit of a language test, a socialization, like she listened to a story and we just see, you know, was she able to separate from a parent easily? And we do a little bit of it, like letters and numbers. But because of the pandemic, we weren't able to do it last year, and we're still waiting to find out what the guidelines will be come April when it was be time to do roundup. However, in the past and this year, we've always, if there's been a parent that's on the fence, we've always just had them bring them in, and a kindergarten teacher just sits with her, and we could give you some pretty good feedback based on, you know, what you tell us and what we see. So if we're not able to do the traditional roundup, if you just called up to the school, I'm sure one of us would just be able to meet with you and help you guide you in that decision.
Okay, so when we submit the application then, do we have to pick kindergarten or young 5, or do we?
Tell them you're on the fence and that you would like to talk to a kindergarten teacher.
Okay,
And
thank you.
then that we'll follow up. Yep, we'll follow up with you.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Sometimes parents have stayed on the fence throughout the summer, but sometimes after talking to a teacher, a parent knows right away.
Okay.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
I'm still listening.
I have a question.
Yes.
Sure.
Do you guys have like a specific age cutoff for, so his birthday is in June, so does that automatically put him in kindergarten, or does he have the opportunity for young 5s?
Yeah, traditionally our young 5s classroom, when we first started it, was for children with birthdays between September 1st and December 1st, because the cutoff date used to be December 1st and then the state moved it back to September 1st. However, you as a parent can decide. If you know, what's your son's name?
Mason. He's right here.
Hi, Mason.
Hey.
If you think that young 5s would be a better fit for Mason, absolutely choose young 5s.
Okay, so we have the option.
Yes.
We are just worried about the lottery, I guess. If there is too many people, we really have our heart set on Holly Academy, so.
Don't worry about the lottery. Honestly, don't worry. But like the other parent, Tony, if you want a teacher to help you make that decision, you call the office and get an appointment with one of the teachers.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mrs. Bunyik can speak to that, but you have summer birthdays and young 5s this year, right, Mrs. Bunyik?
Actually get quite a few summer birthdays. My own daughter, I like to tell parents this, my own daughter was a beginning of July birthday, and I didn't even think about young 5s for her. And then after becoming a young 5s teacher, I realized that's what she needed. And it wasn't the academic aspect of it at all. It was more of the social and emotional. And she just needed an extra year of growth. So she kind of struggled in different areas going through school. So it's not always the academics.
And can I touch on that too for both like Tony and for Mason? So that is true, because kindergarten, the children are older in kindergarten than they were like 5 years ago. A lot of my class was 6. I didn't have a lot of 5-year-olds. And sometimes 5-year-olds just play better with 5-year-olds. And 6-year-olds play better with 6-year-olds. So sometimes Mrs. Bunyik's right. Like it's an older kindergarten than it used to be. So sometimes, you know, if you are putting them in there and they are young, they might be one of the few children that are 5 in their classroom. Does that make sense? It is a big growth year from 5 to 6. Definitely a lot to think about.
So when we drop off our forms, we just tell them that we're on the fence and we can set up that interview process.
Yep, absolutely. Yep. A kindergarten teacher will reach out to you, and then you can choose, but we can just talk about it, or, you know, even if you want us to check academically, we can handle it that way too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you cutting them?
Can I ask a question, Amanda? You said that you really have your heart set on Holly Academy. Is that because you've heard about us through word? Why is it that your heart is set on Holly Academy?
You know, we just moved to the Holly area a year ago, and one of the big things for us was coming from Waterford schools. So, you know, we've heard just different things about different school districts. And when we moved here, I didn't even really know about Holly Academy, but we have made really good friends in the neighborhood, and they have nothing but amazing things to say about Holly Academy. And I mean, my husband agrees. We love how you guys are more strict on things. Like, I was reading through like the uniform and everything like that. And then just how high rated you guys are. It's just really important to us. So that's basically why.
Good. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
You'll love being a Husky.
Hey, open. Can you say please?
Are there any other questions?
We do have a question in the message box. Hi, Kristen. Is the application different from the enrollment registration?
Well, there's the application form and then there's the registration packet. So I guess it would depend on which you were talking about. It must be a private chat because I don't see.
Yeah, she might have sent it to me. Where's Kristen? And I'm trying to roll through here to see everybody. Kristen?
Hi.
Here it is.
Can we find you? Okay.
So what we need right now is that application form.
Yes.
I believe I already turned that one in. I know it had said application and registration. I just didn't know if that's something I have to pick up separately from the office or if that's something that I download from the website or what I do with that.
You will have to fill out those registration forms, but right now, until that March 26th, I think it was date. Is it March 26th?
March 12th.
Well, until that date, all we need is that one application form. And then after that, you'll fill out all those registration forms. It's quite a packet of stuff. But right now, we're good with an application.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah, hi, thanks for hosting this. I have one question. Is there a tuition involved with Holly Academy? I don't know how charter schools work, I guess, in that matter.
No, there is not. So Holly Academy is a public school academy, and the word in there that tells you that we have no tuition is the public part. Charter schools are not at all funded through tuition. We are a public school, so we're funded through the state of Michigan, just like all traditional school districts are. So we get a per pupil foundation allowance the same amount as Holly area schools because we reside, even though we have nothing to do with them, we reside physically in Holly area schools district. So we get the same foundation allowance per student as they do. So that's how we stay financially solvent, and absolutely no tuition.
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I could ask one thing of everyone. Can you just type in the message area and tell us how you learned about us, how you heard about Holly Academy? I'd love to see some of the answers in chat.
Yes,
Thank you, Melissa. They sure do.
I have a really dumb question. Where is the enrollment application at on the website? It's been a few years.
It's under prospective parents, or I can send it home with one of your kids. You want me to do that?
Yeah, send it with Beth Ann, because if you send it with Isaiah, it'll never get to me.
I'm gonna go get one right now.
Okay. I love him, but he's just not organized.
Well, this is great.
Oh, yay, Henry.
Are there any other
Girls.
questions for us?
I do have a question.
Sure.
So I have 2 boys, and my oldest is now getting into the kindergarten age. Is it still true that siblings have an automatic in for the lottery, or is that no longer a thing?
If you already have a student that attends here, Holly
Yeah.
Academy, am I right? Ms. Pottinger, can you help me out on that? I would say yes.
Yes.
Am I right?
It is.
Yes.
As
Okay.
long as you fill out your application in the enrollment period, siblings are automatically in.
Okay.
And Quinn, it's great to see you.
I
Pictures
know.
on, I'm like, I know who that is.
Not a whole lot of Quins in
Welcome
Michigan.
back.
Yes.
So it's been a long time since I've been in school, but do the kids still start the day with the Pledge of Allegiance like we used to?
Yeah.
Yes, they do.
Perfect.
Yes, my flag's right behind us. We
I
pledge
saw
to
the
it every
flag.
day.
That's why I wanted to ask.
That's where we look, just right that way. Takes us about a week to figure out some of the verbiage, but yes, they do.
She's got it. We got a LED
she's
flag
got
on the
it.
wall, so she knows it.
Aw, good job. That's hard. There's a lot of big words in there. You do good.
Did you hear her say thanks?
Oh, I see a connection to the Wizoons.
Yep.
Super. This is so awesome.
Mhm.
We live across the street, and my cousin's wife is Colleen. What? Joe Wagner, where are you?
Uh-oh. Called out to the principal's office already. He hasn't even joined.
Uh-oh, we're in trouble.
See you.
Cooper, is it?
Cousin's wife. You're related to Brad Tebow?
I'm Cooper.
Oh my gosh.
How's it going? How are you?
Oh my.
Oh, I got 2 kids of my own.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I told you I'm not that old, Cooper. Thanks a lot.
Oh my gosh.
Oh wow.
Hi, this is Sarah Morris. I have a quick question. I've heard a lot that parents are super involved. What are the ways that parents get involved, or what do you guys expect from parents, I guess? Can I ask that?
Sure. So outside, sorry, I just jumped in. Do one of you ladies want to answer that?
Go ahead.
No, you're good.
I just figured out how to unmute myself since I spoke the first time, so it took a minute. How do parents get involved? Well, so there are so many different opportunities in a non-pandemic year, right, to be involved. So whether it's volunteering in the classroom, being a guest reader, maybe you're coming in to help the teachers, with classroom parties. There's PTO. We have the Holly Academy Education Foundation, and we sponsor a couple of events every year, the HA 5K in the spring, and then we usually have an evening event in the fall. Parents can volunteer to all of our field trips since we do not have busing. Again, in a non-pandemic year, our students ride with parents or other families to field trips, so you can always volunteer to chaperone. There's dances once you get into middle school, which every middle schooler loves when their parents chaperone to dance. trust me, especially when your mom's an assistant principal and chaperones a dance, that went over really well. But there are just countless opportunities in a non-COVID year. So fingers crossed we'll get back to some semblance of normalcy in the coming year.
Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate that.
You're
And
welcome.
what did your virtual year also look like this year when that happened? What did you guys do?
So, starting for, are you speaking specifically to this school year? Not the shutdown that we did in the spring?
Yeah, I think just this year. What did it look like for you guys?
So we opened our doors to in-person learners on August 31st. We did offer 3 options, and we still have 3 options in place. Obviously, students are in the building 5 days a week, full time. We had a blended option, so we had students who attended in-person classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and were virtual or remote on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And so then on that Tuesday, Thursday, on their remote days, they were pretty independent. They did not meet with our virtual academy teachers. So then we had a full virtual option. And as we started this school year, I would say we probably had about a third of our population virtual, about 200 students, which is a lot considering we'd never had a virtual program. I kept telling the teachers, never did I ever think I would stand in front of you and talk to you about offering a virtual program, but here we are. We have 4 certified teachers who run our virtual program. They meet with students to follow all of the requirements. They're 100%, the students are 100% remote. We are down to probably, I would say, around 75 is maybe.
I think
between 75 and 100. Huh?
Because it came up at our board meeting, I know the exact number, 64.
Oh. Well, hey, that was just a shot in the dark. That was a pretty good number, 75. So we have only allowed students to re-enter to come back in person in the marking periods. So our in-person kids are cohorted, meaning they're not changing classes in the elementary school. They're not mixing or commingling with other classes. When they go out to recess, we have zones. So if Mrs. Idoni's class and Mrs. Foss's class and Mrs. Malero's class are all out at the same time, their kids aren't cross-playing together in the same area. So we've done everything we could to keep kids safe. We have done an excellent job this year. We did choose to go remote for the week prior to Christmas break and the 2 weeks following Christmas break. Coming out of Thanksgiving was rough for us, not because of in-school transmissions or anything along those lines, but because of quarantining and the effects of having people quarantined. So if we had a couple of classrooms quarantined because of the exposure, somebody was exposed, was at school. You've all watched the news for the last 330 days. You know what it sounds like. But then there are other teachers that are in those classrooms, or teachers with children in those classrooms. As you hear, so many of us have children or have had children at the academy. We just ran out of adults. So we ended up going remote a couple days earlier than planned. But outside of that, we have been business as usual every day, 8 to 3:15. And in a time of craziness, I'm really proud, and I think that every one of us are, to sit back and think when there are schools that haven't set foot inside of a building since March 12th of last year, that we have been, in this for the long haul, and I anticipate that the rest of our year will be flawless.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. That was a long answer. Sorry.
No, that was awesome, though. I like that.
Can I add one more thing about how parents can volunteer? And this isn't really about volunteering. This is just more about that partnership. So what we love the most about parents is if you have a value for education, and if you truly partner with us and help us to help your child be successful academically and socially, you know, we're there. If you simply help us do that, that's the most important thing. You know, if you can get into classrooms and help teachers or volunteer in some way or drive on a field trip, that's just icing on the cake. If you partner with us to help your child be a successful Husky, that's the best thing ever. That's what we're looking for from you.
Awesome.
Anyone else?
What does the before and after school care look like if offered?
Great question. I guess I can answer that. So our office manager, her name is Jennifer Melton. She owns the before and after care program. It's called Kids Club. So before school, she is open at 6:30. And you drop your child off at Kids Club, and then they can have breakfast there, and then they walk their kids up to school, or in the case of a middle schooler, walk them down there. And then after school, the Latchkey program part of Kids Club is open until 6 o'clock. Teachers walk the children down, and then you pick your child up down at our Kids Club. So it starts at 6:30 a.m. and ends at 6 o'clock p.m. And we do have half days. Most months we have at least one half day because the teachers have to have professional development, and she is open on those half days as well.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. So earlier, Mrs. Bunyak in the chat put that website. It's hollyacademy.org/MNG. We'd love it if you would fill out that Google form. Then we know that you attended tonight, and we can circle back around to you if you need us for any reason. And there it is in the chat again. Just copy and paste that. And it's a really short Google form. Just again, so we know that you were here with us tonight. And then we can reach out to you to see, you know, if there's anything that we can do for you in the next couple of weeks, or even if you're on the fence, the next few months. And we're always here if you have questions. I know that a couple of you had reached out to us and said we are trying to make the decision between a couple of schools, and anything we can do to give you more information that you haven't heard tonight, you can reach out to any of us through the website. We'd be happy to answer any question that you have.
Thank you guys so much for putting us on. I appreciate it.
Thank you for attending.
Thank you so much.
Never know.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.